Jeff, thanks for joining us. Hey, we're going to start off with Adam Jardy first up and Brendan Gulick on deck. Adam?
Justice, congratulations on the win.
Yes, sir.
Last game was a little bit of a tough game for you. You come out with a different hairstyle today and a different outcome for you. Did the two have anything to do with each other?
Nah. Last game, I just didn't perform well. Didn't have my best game at all. But today, I just know how to come in. Move on from that last game. This is a really important week for our team. So I just came in and just really played my game. And my teammates and my coaches always boost me. Get me back in the right headspace. But the hair, I just want to switch it up a little bit, just something different.
You guys had a 19-0 run in the first half and kind of kept them at arm's length from then on. But when you have a run like that early, what does that feel like, and what's the challenge of then trying to keep to that level when there's still a lot of basketball left?
Yeah, having to run early, it's good and bad. I mean, at times during the season, we've had a lead, a pretty large one too, and we've let it slip away towards the end of the game, especially. So, especially in this game, it was a big emphasis as we began to make the lead larger and larger. Coach continued to emphasize, to keep playing, and to really, to really keep them on their heels for real. So that's what we did, and we got the outcome that we wanted.
All right, next up is Brendan Gulick with Stephen Means on deck. Brendan?
Hey, Justice, another double-double for you, and it's kind of feeling like you're riding this roller coaster where some games, your stat sheet is stuffed in a lot of categories, obviously coming off a game where you didn't score, but it feels like you've been put in so many different positions and roles on this team this year as you guys have gone through some different things. Can you enlighten us a little bit on like what it's like for you to prepare for a game and trying not to be too focused on what your stats might look like at the end of the day so that you can just kind of play freely?
Yeah, I mean, going into the game, I just know I have the things that I bring to the game every night that I have to do. Coaches make sure that I do that. And if I don't, then it'll show. But as long as I do what I can do on the floor, the stats will come with it. But I just go out there and play hard, and the stats will come with it.
You had 5 offensive rebounds. Zed Key had 5 offensive rebounds, and it turned into 20 second chance points. How big of an emphasis did you guys place on that in preparing for the game today?
Yeah, Coach let us know, I think yesterday, that some of our numbers went down as far as just our offensive rebounding, our overall rebounding. So, this game we wanted to really attack that and play with force, especially on the boards. And, we always get something good out of it, whether I get it if I crash or at least to someone else getting their hand on it. It creates extra possessions for our team, and, we capitalize on those. So I'm glad we got it done today.
Next up is Stephen Means with Rob Aller on deck. Stephen?
Justice, a little bit more on the offensive rebound. You've had a couple of games like this where you just kind of, racked them up a little bit. How much of that is a developed skill, and how much of that is just you're in the right place at the right time, typically?
I say it's a little bit of both. Just putting myself in that position. Going to the inside by the rim when the shot's going up. Puts me in the position to do it. But also, I've been doing it for a while now, just trying to read the ball. When it comes off the rim, it's something that I bring to the game. So I continue to do it, and I'm gonna keep doing it. If it's gonna help my team win.
And they've kind of used you, as Brendan kind of alluded to, like a Swiss Army knife. And I know you can do a lot of different things, but in your opinion, what's your best skill that you bring to this team?
Dang. I don't know if I could pinpoint one, but I don't know. I would just say my versatility again, man. Just the fact that I feel like I can bring, whether it's offensively or defensively, just anything to the game that the coaches need or that my teammates need for us to come out win. And today might have been rebounding. The nights might be scoring, defense, a defensive assignment. I mean, it just goes on. So as long as we're winning, that's the skill that I'm good with.
All right, next up is Rob Aller with Steve Hellwagon on deck. Rob?
Hey, Justice. We keep talking about, Coach, about how you go into the tough places, and yet he keeps coming back with, Justice is improving, but he needs to get tougher and tougher and tougher. Is that a motivational thing that he's using with you, and do you take that to heart? How do you respond to that when we try to give you credit, he's kind of hedging?
No, coach is going to be hard on me. He expects a lot from me, and I take that to the chin for real. So he's pushing me every day, and I have to accept that. And at the end of the day, it's to make me better, it's to make me a player that he believes that I can be, for this team. And I'm gonna keep embracing the challenge. I came here knowing it was going to be a challenge, and I'm glad we did it. I mean, we're on a little run right now, and we're going to continue to try to push it. But yeah, as far as coach getting on me, man, yeah, that's the normal.
All right. Next up is Steve Hellwagon, and our last ones will come from Patrick Murphy. Steve.
Yeah, Justice. NCAA committee came out today and had you guys as a 1 seed. I know it's 4 weeks to Selection Sunday, but do you feel games like this you're able to go out and show and prove that we deserve to be mentioned among the top teams in the country? You've won 9 of your last 10 games. Just what's your thought about hearing news like that after a game like this?
Can you repeat the question? Just the last bit, yeah.
Just they made you a 1 seed. I know 4 weeks to Selection Sunday. Just your thought about people are recognizing all the hard work and the wins you guys are coming out with.
Oh, the 1 seed. I mean, that's cool and all. We still have some play, obviously, but as far as our team, takes in all of that, we're just worried about the next game. The next week is going to be the most important week for us, and we go to Penn State next week, and that's going to be our most important week. And we try not to focus too much on what's too ahead of us, like the tournament and stuff. We just continue to play and continue to try to get better each and every day, pushing each other.
Thanks.
All right, and we'll finish up with Patrick Murphy. Go ahead, Patrick.
Justice, you talked about the early run that you guys had, but Indiana responded with an 11-0 run. Obviously, there were some runs in the second half. What was this game like, kind of going back and forth until things kind of settled out late in the second half with the various runs that both teams went on?
Yeah, I mean, that's just how basketball is, especially here in the 10. We knew they were going to go on a little run. And like I said earlier, we've had trouble in the past keeping our larger lead. So knowing that, we came into the second half knowing we had to push and, really get them back on their heels and play our game and really just separate. And that's what we did. So it was a big emphasis for us to make sure we finished the game, all 40 minutes.
And this is an Indiana team that's held a lot of teams either close, gone to overtime, gotten some wins over teams that maybe people didn't think they would. To be able to get a convincing win against a program and a team like that, what does that mean for you guys?
It's good. Like I said, today was this game was our most important game, and the next one's going to be our most important game too. We're just moving game by game and week by week, and we're going to just continue to get better, continue to push each other, and there's still a lot of time left to get better, and a lot of games left as well. So we're going to just keep it going.
Justice, appreciate your time.
Yep, yes sir. Appreciate y'all.
Nickname Zed Key. All right, Adam, how about Adam Jardy start us off with Bill Landis on deck. Adam, go ahead.
Hey, Zed, you guys had a big lead. They cut it to 5, and then you had the offensive rebound and a putback, and they never got really closer from that point on. What does it feel like, or I guess why do you feel you're able to make those kinds of plays in those kinds of moments, and how did you see the team respond to that?
Rebounds, offensive rebounds are big for our team. It gives us second chance opportunities. And I was just around the rim in the right spot. And, in the first half, my jump hook wasn't really falling. So I was just down there for rebounds. But in the second half, when that happened, it was like a momentum swing. And the team felt it. And, we just kept it moving from there. Yeah. And then we just never looked back.
You've gone up against the likes of Luka Garza and some of the other bigs in the Big Ten in these last couple of games and really held your own. Why do you think you've been able to have the impact that you've had as a freshman? What's it been like going against some of those guys here in these last few weeks?
It just all boils down to practice, coming in every day, working really hard, going against EJ every day, and KY, they took me under their wing and showed me the ropes, like how hard you have to play, and this league is really tough. So I just embraced that. And, just going in every game thinking that, look, it's just another basketball game and you just do what you do and just play. So, yeah, that's those two guys really been helpful for me. But, Luka Garza and all these bigs, they're really good players. So you just got to play really physical, and as I said before, just do what you do.
All right, next up, Bill Landis with Phil Harrison on deck. Bill.
Hey, Zed, late in the first half when Indiana was kind of closing the gap a little bit, coach called a timeout, kind of huddled you guys up on the floor. Just what was the message there? Because it did seem like you guys responded pretty well and extended your lead back out to double digits.
Yeah, it's just basically what he said to us was just we got to play harder. We weren't really playing that hard or tough, so he just called timeout and said we got to play a lot harder than what we were playing and tougher because they're just punking us around the court.
And
so,
I'm sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, so that's basically all he said, and we went back out there and did our thing.
And you guys have been a pretty efficient and balanced offensive team all year, and I know Coach has talked a lot about wanting to kind of see similar things on the defensive end. This seemed like maybe with the exception of that last first half stretch, that this was the most consistent you guys have played defense in a little while. It just seems like you're getting better there. Do you feel like you're becoming a more consistent defensive team to kind of match what you guys do on the other end?
Yeah, most definitely. Defense is a big part of our DNA. So we come in every day and we really work on defense. So gotta get in our gaps and make sure we help the next guy. So yeah, our defense has definitely gotten better as you said, and it's been showing the last couple of games.
All right, next up is Phil Harrison with Patrick Murphy on deck. Phil.
Hey, Zed, Coach had said all along that he thought you come into the program that you would bring something to the team immediately. And it's pretty rare for a freshman to come in and do what you've done down in the post in a league that's such a rough and tumble type of league. So I'm sure you had confidence in yourself too, but was there a little bit of an adjustment period? And when did you realize that, hey, yeah, this is something that I can jump in and do immediately in the Big Ten?
There was a little adjustment period. We went to Purdue for the first game. And I was out there playing. I was like, all right, it's really physical. So, and from that point on, I was like, you just got to come out here, play really physical, and just do what you do. Go down there, post, be around the rim, rebound, and just give the energy off the bench. So, it's been a blessing, and I'm really happy that Coach Holtmann has trusted me to come in and do my thing. So, yeah, I'm really happy, and it's a blessing.
And you mentioned your energy. What do you think that? So that might have been missing a little bit, maybe in years past with Ohio State. What do you think that does for your team when you come off the bench and just provide that energy in such efficient minutes that you have?
For me, it's just come off the bench and, as I said before, just do what you do. Go down there and just make an impact. Go down and seal. Be around the rim and it also on the defensive end as well. Block shots, rebound, alter shots. And the team feeds off that. Like when you get a block shot, everyone starts yelling from the bench, and it gives us like momentum to keep going. So, and make a play on the offensive end. So it's basically my mindset. Just come in and just do the little things and the dirty work.
All right, and we'll finish up with Patrick Murphy. Patrick?
Ed, I know basketball is a game of runs, but when you guys go on a 19-0 run, I have to imagine there's a lot of confidence there. Then Indiana comes back with an 11-0 run, and there were several other runs throughout the game. Take me through the emotions of kind of those runs, whether you're on the court, whether you're on the bench, how you're feeling and how you kind of keep composure whichever way they're going.
Well, when we went 19-0, like we knew that they were gonna have a run because basketball is a game of runs. So like they weren't just gonna like lay down and just give up. Like they obviously were gonna fight back and try to win the basketball game. Give them credit, and that's what they did. 11-0 run. So but the bench just brings a whole bunch of energy because we have no fans. So we just gotta yell and scream and want to play and uplift the guys, because when stuff isn't going their way, you just got to keep talking to them and be like, "Yo, you're good," and stuff like that. So the bench brings a lot of energy, and just like when you're on the court, just got to be talking to your teammates, because talking like on the court brings energy as well. Letting guys know, and you just got to do what you do. The bench, like everyone has their role on the team, so we all do that role, and we're good.
And to get the win, the sizable win that you guys did there in the second half, What do you most attribute to being able to pull away like you guys were able to do?
That's a good question. I think just as I said before, energy and rebounding. Yeah. That's a good question. He stumped me with that one. Just come in and just do what you do. That's basically what Holtmann and all the coaching staff said to me: just do what you do, and everything will fall in place.
And we'll jump in with one more last question from Adam Jardy. Adam?
Yep.
Is that kind of a silly question in a post-game press conference, but since we don't talk to you guys during games, I saw a video going around of a little kid doing finger guns after a bucket. I just wonder what sort of impact you feel that you're making here, and how much you feel like people are taking notice of what you're doing and that energy you're talking about.
Yeah, when I saw that video on Twitter, I had to retweet it. It was like warmed my heart. I was like, oh wow, other people are actually doing it. And it was actually a good feeling. All the coaches were talking about it, and it was actually really good that people are like actually putting into their game and following me. But it was just a silly thing that I did in the beginning, and I just caught on. So it's just it feels good to have other like little kids watching you and do it.
Awesome. Zed, good job today. Thanks for the time.
Thank you, guys. Thank you.
This mic's a little close. Start whenever.
All right.
All right, guys. Good to be with you. Good win against a really good Indiana team that is physical and tough and well coached. And we knew that coming in here, obviously they just played a couple nights ago. But the run they made in the first half, I think we knew they were going to come in with great competitive spirit, as they did. But I thought some of the stretches we had in the second half were really good. I thought we had our guards played a really good floor game between Dwayne and CJ and a couple of our other guys. And then we had some guys step up and have really good nights. So good team win over a really good ball club.
All right, we'll start questions with Brendan Gulick and have Stephen Hellwagon on deck. Brendan.
Hi, Coach. Congrats on another nice day. Overarching question about the efficiency on offense. You guys averaged almost 1.3 points per possession again, and it feels like that's becoming quite a theme here. Why has this offense been so efficient? What are you seeing that's leading to that kind of success rate?
Well, I think gifted and versatile offensive players would be my first answer to that, Brendan. I think gifted and versatile offensive players, and I think they bought into playing together. And I think, for example, tonight, Justin, while he may not have had great numbers, what he did is create great space on the floor because of the threat that he is. So, I think versatile and gifted offensive players, which you have to have in today's college and today's NBA for that matter. And then they bought into playing together.
And how about the mentality around trying to stay in a game where, you raced out to an early lead, 19 straight points at one point, it was 21-6. And I think there's this natural tendency when you rip off a big run like that to have a little bit of a letdown. But you guys have been pretty good this year about mitigating those stretches of play. Can you maybe enlighten us a bit on how this team has, hit the reset button quickly when perhaps the other side has gone on a little bit of a stretch?
Well, you're not going to run away from teams in this league, and you're certainly not going to run away from NCAA tournament teams like Indiana is, right away. I think over time, maybe you have a chance to create some distance. We were fortunate to do that tonight, but I think it's a maturity thing, and I think we've been okay with that this year. I think we've gotten a little bit better at having the kind of maturity you need in certain games to be able to stretch leads and win the next possession. But I don't think we've always been great at that. So I think for us, it's, we got to keep focusing on kind of winning the next possession regardless of the score.
Next up, Steve Hellwagon with Patrick Murphy on deck.
Yeah, Coach, the two big runs you had, 19-0 in the first half, they went 8 minutes without a field goal, and 22-4 in the second half. I think they had one field goal in that 7-minute stretch. That's 15 minutes where they managed one made shot. Just I know you won it for 40 minutes, but in those two stretches, your guys seemed to dictate to Indiana what they could and couldn't do.
I thought we were good defensively in those segments, Steve, and then I thought we had the ability to get the ball where we needed it offensively. But I thought it started. I think you're right. It started there with our defense and trying to limit their effectiveness. Trace is a load. He's a phenomenal player. Race is a really good player. Their guards, Franklin's terrific. Finney is tough and competitive, and so limiting those guys. And then I thought Hunter came in and gave him life, particularly in the first half. So for us, it was important to try to limit their offensive efficiency there in the second half, and I think we did that in those stretches.
Yep, and Suing, he was keyed up from the start. I think he had 6 rebounds in the first 5 or 6 minutes and fought through traffic to get the ball to the basket a couple times on some tough drives. 16 and 10 for him today, just and kind of a bounce back game too, it seemed like. Just what were your thoughts about what he gave you today?
He played with motor. He's a talented kid, and he's got to go to the glass because that's how he can really impact the game. I thought he did that. He attacked the rim. He was able to attack when he needed to, made good decisions, played with force. And I thought defensively he was pretty sound too. And, he's such a big body that his ability he had 10 rebounds, 5 defensive. Those are really important plays. There was a couple balls that were jumping around that he just went and got. And then obviously he hit that big 3 right there in the middle of the floor.
Thanks.
Next up, Patrick Murphy with Phil Harrison on deck. Patrick.
Chris, when we talked to you yesterday, we discussed how Indiana had kept games close, gone to overtime, all those things. You guys come out with a 19-point win, and I know this game at times was closer than that, but to do that, what do you credit your guys with for getting to that point? And, what does that feel like knowing how good this team's been against top teams this year?
Yeah, Patrick, I think I feel good that we were able to, extend that lead against a quality team. I don't know in this league, if you take too much into one game, it tends to affect you in your next game. I just thought we played with maturity, Patrick, and that was good to see, and played maturity with the lead, and physicality when we needed to. I thought our bench gave us some quality minutes, but you have to do that. We've got a couple days here that will get our legs under us, and then prepare for a Penn State team that I think everybody's well aware how good they are and what they did to us here at our place.
All right, next up, Phil Harrison with Bill Landis on deck. Phil.
Hey, Coach, congrats again on the win.
Thanks, Phil.
It seems like this year you've got multiple guys, maybe more guys that can get to their spot where they want in the lane and finish through contact around the hoop. I'm wondering if you knew that was the case in the preseason when you're putting things together, if it's kind of emerged throughout the year, and if you could speak a little bit about what that means for you guys this year.
Phil, I think roster construction as a coach is really important today, and I think you can't always get it maybe exactly like you'd like it, but as you do, whether take over a program a few years ago, or you maybe have a large class that graduates, or whatever, for whatever reason, as you have to reconstruct the roster, you're trying to look for certain things that we feel like is important to us, and then the balance that, balancing a lineup that can play together. So maybe I'm being too vague, but I did feel like our parts fit, had the potential to really fit this year. I did also feel like defense is going to be a concern coming in, but I thought our parts fit if we could get our guys playing to their potential. And, to this point, it's I think proven out.
Thanks.
All right, next up, Bill Landis with Rob Aller on deck. Bill.
Hey, Chris, it seemed like in the few moments where maybe you guys needed to just ratchet things up a little bit more defensively, just kind of get back to guarding work consistently, CJ was a guy who really kind of set the tone for you. And I don't there's like no metric for that, I guess, but it just seems like that's what he does. I don't know. Would you say that's what he does best for you guys right now?
Yeah, bite. He provides bite for us. Sometimes he fouls too much. He and I laugh about that, but bite and physicality and physicality at the point of attack. And then also he's really good, as we've talked about, Bill, at reading scouting report things. He doesn't miss too many things when it comes to scouting report. And that should be the expectation for a guy who's played like he has, but he's great with that stuff. But he just provides bite.
And you just mentioned a few moments ago about playing with maturity when you guys have a lead. And I'm wondering if you could extrapolate that out any bit to just sort of the season you're having. You guys were just revealed as a number 1 seed for the tournament. I know there's a long way to go. You're chasing the Big Ten title, and you're at the top of this league, I guess. And it would seem that there's a certain maturity required to hold that standing and yet continue to improve. Do you feel like your team is showing you that at the moment?
I do. I think we've got to continue to grow in that area right now. I think the biggest thing as a coach right now is we've got to get better. In the moment that any type of complacency comes in, and we see it in practice, it needs to be addressed. We've got to continue to get better, and we've got to stay fully engaged as a group from scout team on down. So I think that's the biggest challenge. But Bill, I think we've been somewhat inconsistent in sometimes playing with the lead, but we were better today.
Next up is Rob Aller with Bruce Hooley on deck. Rob.
Hey, Chris, you can hear me all right?
Yeah, I got you, Rob.
All right. Well,
you're 2 for 2 after that incident a couple weeks ago.
Yeah, you're 6-1 against Indiana since you arrived here. So I'm asking, what's the secret sauce? By that, what I mean is, every team has a DNA. Do you have to prep for them in a way that's conducive to winning for you guys?
Well, I think the prep does require quite a bit, Rob, given that they run a lot of stuff. They run really good stuff. I don't typically look at records with individual programs unless somebody shares that. I will say this, Rob, in all reality, we have pulled a couple out that have been, let's just say, players make plays. We've been fortunate, whether it's CJ Jackson's 3 or whatever the case may be. We've had a couple that have went our way. We've had really close games against them. And, but we've, I think that can turn at any time. Before we were going into the Michigan State game, I unfortunately heard on the radio coming over that I was 0-4 in the last 4 games versus them. So I don't really get into a whole lot of that. I think the reality is we've had a couple that we pulled out against Indiana that have been very close games that we've in some ways have been fortunate to win, but our guys have made plays. This one was a little bit unique in that most of our games have been much tighter than this.
The last thing for me is, when you were at Butler, how close attention did you pay to Indiana down there?
Well, listen, it's Indiana, right? It's they love their hoops, and I grew up, as many know, in a basketball. I've worked in or grown up in Kentucky, North Carolina, Indiana. Those are tremendous basketball states. So, they have incredibly avid support for their program. So, I was focused on our program, but we did play them a couple times, Rob, when Tom was there in the Crossroads Classic. So, you keep an eye on them because you're going to play them at least every other year.
Thanks.
All right, next up is Bruce Hooley with Adam Jardy on deck. Bruce.
Can you step outside the job you have for a second and tell us what it must be like to coach against you? They get it down to, or coach against your team this year. They get it down to like 5 a couple times. And it's not Liddell. It's not Washington. It's a suing 3 once. It's a CJ Walker 3 at the shot clock buzzer.
Yeah.
It's a Zed Key offensive rebound. I mean, I'm sure you've played teams that you got the guys that you're worried about at the top of the scouting report, and it ends up not being the guys at the top of the scouting report.
Yeah, no, that's a great point, Bruce. Because I thought a couple of those possessions were really critical. And listen, that's happened to us at times, but as a coach, what you kind of have to do is, you just got to keep fighting on because, I'm sure they're looking at the numbers and saying, one was an end of clock 3 we threw in. CJ did a great job getting it off. Those were 2 difficult shots. And, we were fortunate that it gave us a little bit of breathing room. But you're right. I think those are challenges in our game because they can take the wind out of your sails a little bit because by all accounts, those were a couple really good possessions defensively for Indiana.
And on Zed, did you anticipate him being any kind of this efficient at competing immediately the way he is? I mean, he's not back down from Coburn or Garza or anybody. I think all of us assume from his ranking, which we all put too much emphasis on, that he was a developmental player.
Sorry. Yeah, no, Bruce, to your point, I think there is too much to be made of rankings. We knew we had a good player. I would say, Bruce, that the reality is probably 2 weeks, 3 weeks into practice, I think is when we felt that he was going to play a pretty important role on this team.
All right, next up is Adam Jardy with Spencer Holbrook on deck. Adam.
Chris, when we talked to Justice, he was speaking about the rebounding effort. And he said that was something you had addressed with the team the last couple of days, especially on the offensive end. Is that just a want-to thing? Was there something like stylistically you guys were able to change to be more effective at that, or how did you see that improve today?
No, he's such a good athlete that it was addressed specifically with him because he's such a good athlete. It plays to his strength, and he's so good, he's big, and with our lineup the way we start, it's a little bit of a difficult matchup at times. So I think that's what I love about Justice is, listen, he was disappointed the other night with probably not playing as much as he wanted to play and probably not playing as well as he wanted to play. He didn't blame anybody. Just came back ready to work. And we addressed those things with him. I think that's a sign of a really good player. He knew he had to play with a little bit more motor on that end, and when he does, I think he's really effective.
I was asking more in the context of it sounded like what he said. It was a team-wide thing. As a team, you guys had maybe let some of your offensive rebounding numbers slip. And when you see what Justice –
We did, but he's a big part of that.
Okay. Yeah.
We did, but he is a big part of that because when we've rebounded the ball offensively well, he's been a big part of it.
And Zed as well, I know you just answered a few questions about him, but what he gives you at that end when he's engaged like he was tonight, how hard is that to maybe identify that skill when you're recruiting somebody, and how important is that in games like this?
Well, the old Rick Majerus, big guys, you look for hands and feet first. And that is really true with a guy like Zed, hands and feet first. He's got really good both in both areas.
All right, and our last 3 here will be Spencer Holbrook, Stephen Means, and Colin Hassell. Spencer, you're first.
Chris, I know you answer these kind of questions all the time, but with each game that passes, do you become more amazed by the way these guys kind of just fall in love with their roles and knowing their roles better and better as the season goes on?
Well, I think it's been probably one of the biggest factors for our success. There's no question, is our guys embracing the role and starring in the role. Now that's fluid. Hopefully that'll continue. Hopefully guys will continue to embrace that, because we're going to need everybody on our team and in various situations. But it's been really impressive to this point.
All right, Stephen Means and then Colin Hass-Hill. Stephen.
Well, it's kind of with Justice again. His versatility and his skill set kind of allows you to make up for some of the things that this roster may lack. Like, you guys aren't the biggest team, but I mean, he rebounds the ball pretty well. And when CJ was out, you pretty much put him at point guard. Can you just talk about his versatility and how much of that when he transferred here, how much you saw and how that maybe allowed you to, maybe mess with the lineups a little bit more?
Yeah, Stephen, that's what we loved about him when we were looking at recruiting him as a transfer, is just his multi-position versatility. He did not play point guard at Cal, but we felt like potentially he could play point guard, or he's a guy you could play through offensively. He played more of kind of the 3 and the 4 there. But, it's critical for us. I think it's defensive versatility. And to your point, we may not be we aren't the biggest teams inside. That's clear. But he adds to our overall size to where we've got good size on the perimeter most times, which we knew was going to be important for us. So his positional length has been critical.
And we'll finish up with Colin Hass-Hill. Colin?
Just one last one on Justice. I know you've talked a lot about, wanting him to be more consistent. Now you've had him in the program for a year and a half. How best do you get that consistency out of him and the game-to-game thing that you're going to need, especially when the postseason comes?
That's a good point. I just think he's got to keep working. He's got to keep understanding what good play, good possessions looks like. He's got to stay aggressive. He was one of the first ones in the gym this morning at 7:30, getting extra shots up. He's got to keep working, keep a positive mindset. I think if he does that, he'll continue to grow, because he's a talented kid. It's not going to be perfect every night for him. He'll have other nights where he struggles, but I think if he has that approach, he'll keep getting better because of who he is as a kid and a player.
Thanks.
All right, Coach. Not quite midnight like the other night, but appreciate your time.
All right. Thanks, guys.